How do they know to refresh?
Hi, everyone. Yes, are we live? Great, we're live. Hi. We did it. Sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties. Live events, they do be live eventing.
So does everyone on here need to refresh their page or not?
Yes.
Yes. So what we need everyone to do, if you're on right now, just hit refresh on your browser, refresh your page.
And then we'll all just be refreshed together. Sorry for the delay. Again, live events, they're hard to put on, and sometimes they're really smooth, and sometimes we hit a couple of bumps.
Sometimes it's not within our control. So the video player that we're using shut down and we couldn't use it, so we had to switch video players.
We had to switch to our backup. So this is why you have backups, everybody. Always have backups. But yeah, so just, well, let's just go super quick because, we're already pushing time a little bit. But I did want to announce yesterday's poll winners are Michael Gunderson and Joel Zink. Congratulations to both of you. Those were our two $25 Amazon gift card winners from yesterday. How do you win one from today? Keep answering the polls that are right below me and Gary. That's how we will pay attention. That is how you will get your CTSRUs. So just keep an eye on those and keep answering them when you see new ones pop up. And just a really quick thank you today to our sponsor of Digital Signage Day, Spinetics. Gary is going to do something really cool in just a minute where he did a really cool walkthrough of Spinetics all the way in Switzerland. Super jealous. Also, thank you to our industry partners, Avixa, DSE, Digital Signage Federation, EDGE, HETMA, Illinois Digital Educators Alliance, NSCA, and Wave It. Couldn't have put this week on without you. So thank you guys for supporting us. So yeah, I'm super excited.
You can ask us questions in the Q&A next to us. We're got poll questions below. If you answer poll questions, you're entered into a $25 Amazon gift card. Every time you answer a poll question, you get one entry. So if you just answer one, you only get one entry. If you answer all of them all day, you get like 10 or 12 entries. And of course, networking below, you can talk to each other and we're going to be monitoring the questions in all the places.
Yeah.
But as Steph said, I flew to Switzerland and got a tour of a really cool building. So here's the deal. This building is called the Millennium, and it is a extremely smart building, not just it's got some really cool features. Like, for example, the windows, it's a new technology where the windows actually dim based on the location of the sun, not the time of day. So most technologies is based on time of day. This one is actually looking at the reflection of the sun, and it dims the windows all around the entire building. So there's these really smart windows, changes HVAC, controls the doors, access, everything is all smart. But also there are a few hundred displays all around the facility. And about 150 of them are being driven through Spinetics digital signage, doing all sorts of things outside of digital signage, outside the realm of normal digital signage. So I did three things. First, I did an interview with the president of Spinetics so that you would understand sort of their philosophy in the digital signage market. And so I want you to watch that interview first. Then I'm going to give you a sneak peek of this tour. This tour is about 25 minutes long, and we're not going to play the whole tour. We're going to play about 5 minutes of the tour of the building itself. You're really going to like this building, and you're going to like how well integrated it is. And it's not just rectangular displays. There are all different creative sizes. And Spinetics is even controlling not just the digital signage displays, but even the fountain outside has digital signage on it. And they're controlling not just the signage on the fountain, but the colors and the fountain itself. So let me start with this interview with Francesco Ziliani, who is the president and CEO of Spinetics. So watch this first. I'm going to come on and introduce the tour of the Millennium Building to you.
Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay. It's Launch Week, Digital Signage Day, and I did something special for you for Digital Signage Day. Flew all the way to Lausanne, Switzerland to meet directly with the CEO of Spinetics, Francesco Ziliani. Francesco, thank you very much for hosting us here and the Millennium, which is an amazing facility. First, tell them a little bit about the building that your headquarters is in here, the Millennium in Lausanne.
Yes, thank you for coming, Gary. the Millennium is Spinetics Experience Center. We had a vision with this building to create a space of life where people would enjoy walking, but as well collaborating and experience live shows, events, good restaurants. And we have made sure that digital signage is the heart and the soul of this building.
Digital signage actually created an experience in this building, as you've seen from some of the images we've been showing you. Let's kind of review, because what we did was we actually spent a day here just touring the building, and you can actually watch that entire tour by heading over to our website or going down here on the page. If you're on launch right now, you can see the entire tour. We start out with the entrance of the building and this beautiful fountain that has digital signage tied to the fountain. Like literally when the content changes on the fountain, on the sign above the fountain itself mirrors that. Then you have this incredible lobby display. It's a 32:9 aspect ratio, wide screen, very wide screen, basically 8K display that is sitting in the front of the lobby that's using SpinX digital signage, and Aria is running it all behind the scenes. I mean, that looks like a regular digital signage thing, but there's a lot more here. We have a conference. You're actually running, digital signage is actually running, and I hate calling that term digital signage. I like experiential signage, is running the conference center and the executive center here. It's running the events and entertainment spaces. As you can see, this is not the normal entertainment space. This is a 500-seat auditorium where that content there is being generated by Spinetics using Aria. And also is running the ballroom here in the spaces, also the restaurants and the retail spaces as well, all the hospitality. It's just a beautiful building. I hope that people go watch that tour. But you and I have an agreement that the term digital signage is probably not the right term, right? It's more experiential.
You're right. And it's true that the Millennium, our experience center, is special because it combines so many experiences that you usually don't see just in corporate or in hospitality or in education. It's just a mixture of all of them. But that's experience. The technology gives us the possibility to mix all these scenarios and at the end inspire the guests, inspire the employees, and make their life easier. Because one of the purpose of all these investments and experiment we have here is really to understand how the team that operates the building work with this technology and understand their problems. They are very busy and they need something which is very simple to use, very intuitive, and technology must be reliable, robust, because they cannot cope with blue screens or freezing content. Everything must be perfect 24 hours a day.
And we show you how that all operates by watching that video. I also want to point out there's signage even in the elevators. The experiential signage is running to make sure that you know where to not park in the parking deck. Also, as you leave the building, it tells you whether or not there's too much traffic, the direction that you're going. I mean, it's so well integrated here. I hope they have a chance to watch it. But in the meantime, I want you to stay tuned because I'm about to bring Nicola on here, who's going to give us a detailed overview of what you're seeing behind us. And that is all the applications for Spinetics, digital signage, and Aria globally, all the applications you can use for signage. And we're going to take a deep dive into Aria, which is their cloud-based management system, which has won a bunch of awards from us over the years because it is the best signage cloud-based signage system in the world, we think. So thank you very much for hosting us. I really appreciate it, Francesca. And hey, keep watching. You're going to enjoy this. So let's do the demo with Nick.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, this is really special. I really love doing this tour. We literally did a tour of the entire building. It took 2 days to go through this entire building, literally 2 days. And I put together a video that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes long that goes through the whole entire facility. And let me frame this for you. This facility has like a 600-seat Dolby Digital Cinema Theater, DCI projector from Barco. It's not just a regular projector, it's a DCI projector. It has a complete catering suite with an auditorium as well as a conference center inside of it. It has a meeting center. It has high-end meeting rooms and regular meeting rooms. It has boardrooms. It's a bunch of retail. All of this is being driven through Spinetics digital signage. So I can't play the entire tour for you because we don't have the time. It would be too long. But the whole entire tour is on the page, so you can go to the down on the page and you can watch the entire tour. I'm going to tease you with the first 5 minutes of the tour, and I promise you, if you watch this 5 minutes now, you're going to want to see the whole tour. And I challenge you to watch it because this is the ultimate install for an AV integrator. An AV integrator would have loved to do this because it includes large event stuff, small meeting room stuff, an entire digital signage network, including retail stuff, and a healthcare and even a fitness center. So check this out.
Imagine being able to come to work every morning in a smart building with a 500-seat auditorium, a food court, a fine dining restaurant, an art gallery, a private club, a fitness center, a kindergarten, a hair salon, a dry cleaner, a wine cellar, a car wash, and a whole bunch more. We're here in Lausanne, Switzerland, and this entire smart building, called the Millennium, is run behind the scenes by a digital signage company, Spinetics. I'm going to have you meet the CEO of Spinetics, and we're going to get a tour of the Millennium. Welcome. Construction of the Millennium started during the pandemic, and the building's only been open 2 years, but it's already an iconic smart building here in Switzerland. Probably the building that all other smart buildings will be based on. And as I said, the entire thing is run behind the scenes by a digital signage company. CEO Francesco Ziliani, thank you for having us here in Lausanne, Switzerland.
Welcome, Gary. I'm very proud to have you here in our Experience Center in Lausanne.
Well, it's an impressive building. And from what I understand, there's about 150 screens all being driven by Spinetics.
Correct. We had a vision with this building. We wanted to have space of life for all our guests and visitors. Where people could come, enjoy walking, networking, but as well having fun, participating to live events, enjoying nice restaurants. And I'm very proud of discovering that the heart and soul of this building is really the digital signage and the impact it has on people.
Well, there's more than digital. You're doing more than just running the digital signs. You're also running the AV behind the scenes in the entire facility as well. And all that's due to not only the digital signage players by Spinetics, but LAVNCH, the software, that the content creation software, where you've simplified the ability to put content everywhere, and also Aria, your cloud-based signage platform.
You're perfectly right. You need to understand that in a building like this, there are different stakeholders that use our solution. On one side, you have the operation team,
right,
those that are really on duty. It's very busy and tough work they do. They don't have the time to learn a new tool. They need just to onboard and have a technology that delivers the results. And that's Aria. That's easy to use for them, and it really simplifies their life. Now, on the other side, you have the AV integration.
Yeah.
Having so many technologies, you need a tool, the LAVNCH software, that allows smart people, engineers, trained people to integrate as many technologies they want, having to know that they need reliability, durability of the product, and flexibility to be able to do what is required by the building itself.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take you through the entire facility. We're going to see the entertainment facilities. We're going to see the dining facilities. We're going to see the meeting room facilities. We're going to see the auditorium, the Performing Arts Center. We're going to see how everything, even the elevators, has content driven by Spinetics here in the Millennium. So I'm impressed. Let's take a tour of the entire building, enjoy this, and see if it inspires you to do some really creative things in your future smart building. obviously the experience for anyone entering a building happens in the lobby. That's the first impression that you get. And obviously you can see behind us is a 32x9 LED, 2 4K side by side. That's welcome signage, but also scheduling signage and anything else you want it to, and it's all being driven by Spinetics.
Absolutely. The lobby is the place where you have a chance to make a good impression. You have not much time. So we want to impress people with amazing content, immersive content, perfectly synchronized content. And that's why we have deployed the IBX 440 that is capable of running this type of LED wall seamlessly, very easily from ARIA. And as you said, we want to impress people. It's all about experience. So we are also capable of interacting with this content. Interacting, of course, with what's happening in the building. So giving information about, hey, we have Rave visiting us. It's in that place. And without asking people to type or add logos, that's fully automated. But we can also impress people by activating spatial content like
Happy birthday.
like happy birthday.
Let's do it.
You can see that not only the screen is changing, the LED are changing, the music is popping up.
And the same stuff is happening out front with the fountain and the display there as well.
Our solution
all from one piece of content
makes things synchronize. So it's really massive. And
I love this tour. I really want you to watch the entire thing because it's 25 minutes long. It's down below on the page, but you get to see the entire facility and you're going to be really impressed with how integrated all this is in this one building. And we tour the entire building. We end the tour on the roof with a view of Lake Geneva. I mean, you couldn't have planned this differently. Our weather was perfect. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot about Spinetics, Spinetics has a very sophisticated infrastructure that they support their digital signage players with that includes a cloud-based management system called ARIA, A-R-Y-A. I want you to learn a little bit about the applications, and also I want you to see, I mean, this is really just the beginning for Spinetics. The media players, the technology can also drive video walls. They have a video wall server system. It can do interactive signage. It can be customized. It can be IP interactive or automated. It can do retail and corporate as well as higher education. And so I had a chance to sit down with Nicola and get a deep dive on the ARIA platform. And he shows me the different applications that you can use their platform, their signage ecosystem for. So check out this interview with Nicola.
Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and we are here in Lausanne, Switzerland in the Spinetics Experience Center inside the Millennium. Now, if you don't know what the Millennium is, it's the smartest building in Switzerland. And we actually did a tour of the entire facility and how Spinetics is running experiential signage throughout the entire facility using ARIA. And you'll understand what ARIA is because in addition to this Experience Center tour, we're going to talk about ARIA as well. We're actually going to do a demo of how to use it. I'm here with Nicola. Nicola, first off, tell me a little bit about what we're going to see today.
It's all about experience, Gary. Welcome the team. You have an amazing team. It's all about experience, and we bring this experience, we bring your story to life with screens, with digital sign. And this experience, we bring it globally with our ecosystem of resellers worldwide. It's all about autonomy as well. Everything you're going to see today, you can make it yourself. The end customer can make it. The integrator can integrate data, integrate smart building technology by themselves.
Yeah, and also, you not only does Spinetics have the players that output all different resolution and aspect ratios, as you're going to see, and even one player that outputs 4K signals at the same time. But also you have LAVNCH, which is your content design software, in addition to ARIA, which is your cloud management software. And we're going to show you different applications that Spinetics is covering, starting with transportation and wayfinding.
Yes, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Indeed, compatibility with any screens, any brands, any size. We do everything but the screens.
Yeah.
So basically, first, you can see stretch screens, special formats, special resolution, typically for wayfinding, for doors, for signs in an airport.
Yeah.
And this, what makes it special is the end user within ARIA. They have exactly the same template, the same canvas So basically they can drag and drop their assets and they will see what they do.
And basically all this is two 16:9 here, just side by side. So it's a 32:9 palette, and you can put content wherever you want it to go. And in a portrait configuration like this, you're showing wayfinding.
Exactly. And can be as well LED, outdoor LED, because special formats, special ratio.
Yeah.
Can be.
It's just the aspect ratio, the resolution.
Exactly.
All you're doing is filling pixels.
Yeah, we call this custom resolution.
Yeah.
And we can derive any custom resolutions.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And so this can be done using any of your players.
Exactly. So we are compatible with any screens because you put an external media player. But as well, we have built-in inside Spinetics. We are gold partner of Intel, so we power up every Intel platform to make it a special screens for Spinetics with the DSOS Digital Signage Operating System running on Intel.
Perfect.
Award-winning DSOS.
Yeah, we've given it a few different awards at ISE over the years at InfoComm. So what are we going to see next?
All right, so again, that entire video Experience Center tour is also on this page. So you can actually see that. That's a separate video on this page. You can see the entire Experience Center tour, which goes through all the different applications that you can use Spinetics players in. Now I want to take you through a full demo. This is a full demo of Aria. Now here's why I want to take you through this full demo, and I want you to watch the whole thing. Spinetics by far has the best cloud management platform of any digital signage company on earth. Nobody is doing digital signage cloud management better than Spinetics. So, and I'll take that challenge from any other digital signage company, including BrightSign. I think BrightSign has great players and they got great content, great people, but their cloud management system is not as good as Aria. I want you to watch this demo here, and I want you to see how this system works, because he's going to actually do a live demo. We shot this live demo of how actually it triggers the displays in real time and how you can manage a huge network. They're actually managing a network of up to 6,000 displays with Aria, but they have a live system of 600 displays in an airport, for example, we talk about, but we're going to actually show you how this all works. So check out this actual demo of Aria.
Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and welcome back. We've obviously done we did this amazing tour of the Millennium Building here in Lausanne, Switzerland. We also did a showroom experience tour with Spinetics, and we showed how Spinetics is driving through Aria 150 displays in the Millennium Building and doing every content and every kind of application. Now I want to see how Aria actually works. What is cloud-based signage and how do you operate it?
You connect to aria.spinetics.cloud, then your players are added in 1 minute, and then you have a very friendly ergonomic user interface, where first of all, anytime you have a question, Jessica, John, the end users, they are not experts. They can ask a question there. We have 6 people answering to the questions from 8 o'clock to morning.
And when you sign up for Aria, is that included or?
Yes, it's all included. So you have a question, we answer. No need to call your integrator, no need to call your reseller. We answer directly there. So Jessica and John, they are not expert in signage, so they need to quickly add the file, upload the files. They quickly need to create templates, schedule it, and display on screens, and eventually manage the alerts. So together, here we have added some videos of rave, weather forecast. You basically take a content, you select your group of players, showroom, you pick it.
So you name the players, what they are and where they're located.
Exactly. So we call this tagging. So basically you tag a group of players by name, by geography, by buildings, and so on.
So the content is now sent to the players through the network.
Exactly.
It's communicating. And what happens if one of the players goes down?
So we just need the internet connection for changing the order of the playlist or schedule, but the players in your on your network will remain.
So if you lose network connection, you're still
exactly.
Excellent. All right. So then now let's say I have this content. I want to add a weather widget to it, or I want to add some kind of like a design to it.
Exactly. You go in the templates. You have multiple widgets. I can add one. You basically have something very visual, so you see what you do. So that's
seeing basically what's
Yes, you have a preview. You have preview, video preview as well. So you select your group of players 24/7 and it will go on the player. Now, as we published before a priority content, here again, you see the list of players. You see here we have 4 screens.
Yeah.
You click on one, you see what's being displayed. We had priority content before, I remove that content, and then it reverts back to the playlist, the normal playlist. You can add content as well from here. So all the contents are being transcoded on the cloud. No, you don't need to know what's the resolution, what's the codec, and so on. That's we take all.
So how do I see all my players and manage all my players?
So in player section, you see all your players being displayed.
So this exclamation point here.
Exactly. So we have here the 2 players not working out there in Europe. Then in US, you have 1 player in Chapel Hill, and Live will pull the data from Chapel Hill and show what's being displayed now.
All right, so then this is actually what's on the screens in Chapel Hill. That's interesting. So you don't have to have a camera in the room. You're actually seeing the content from the player.
Exactly. So then alerts.
It's for emergency alerts or campus-wide alerts or
typically. So you can like for an event have a live video stream being displayed because it's an event happening suddenly in the building, or you want to watch a football game, or you have a fire alert, and then basically you can edit the alert. It doesn't need to be full screen. It can be like some sections, zone. Then you activate it and it will go automatically on overlay on top of the content,
regardless of what the content is.
Exactly.
And so what's the cost for this software? How do I, as an integrator, how do I sell it, or as a user, how do I buy it?
So it's per player per year, unlimited number of users. So you add a user just by adding the email, or we are SSO compatible.
So if I have 100 players on the network, I'm going to pay per player, but I have unlimited seat licenses.
Exactly.
So you can divide into groups as to who accesses which player.
Exactly.
It doesn't cost any additional money.
Exactly. Cool. So unlimited users, unlimited storage, chat online, updates, security updates on the firmware updates. We do sprint every 15 days. There are new features or added.
You include all that.
Exactly. It's all included.
And can I give each user a different access?
Exactly. So you have even granularity per zone, per player. So it's as simple as adding, let's say, Chapel Hill screen. You add it here. So Casimir will have only access to Chapel Hill content and Chapel Hill players.
That's very nice. Okay, so this is all part of the Spinetics ARIA cloud-based platform.
No need of training. You're autonomous. Jessica, John, they're autonomous, no need of training. No hidden cost just per player per year.
And this is all part of the Spinetics ARIA cloud-based management system, which you can learn more about at spinetics.com, spinetix.com. And of course, we shot a thorough tour of the Millennium building, which includes 150 players, all being driven by ARIA. We also did a showroom tour. And of course, this video, all these videos are available at ravepubs.com. Just type in Spinetics in the search and you have everything. Nicola, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you, Gary, and your lovely team.
All right, thank you, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.
All right, so it is time now for a panel, and we are going to talk about illuminating retail experiences with digital signage innovations. Joining me is Layla Jensen and Lauren Butcher. Welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
I know it's kind of like the end of the workday for both of you guys joining across the pond, so thanks again for joining. So let's take just a moment, and I want both of you to just kind of introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about the work that you do before we dive in here. Layla, do you want to start?
Yeah, of course. I'm Layla Jensen. I am based in Copenhagen, and I've been in the AV industry for more than 15 years. A lady says 15 plus, that's the thing. I'm not going to go above that. I've worked with European companies, Chinese companies, Korean companies, US tech companies. I've been with manufacturers, and 4 or 5 years ago, I started with Zeta, which is a digital signage company, and changing them from being a local to a global brand. Acquiring companies, merging them together, integrated, and then being a thought leader in the industry. And then now I've actually gone solo in a management consultancy.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm at that period in my experience in my career that I can advise others because I've done it, so they can do it faster and easier.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Lauren, what about you?
Hi, I'm Lauren. I am from the UK in Reading. I work for Pioneer Group, an integrator, and I work specifically with kind of retailers and in the hospitality sector. I've worked with Pioneer for about 3 years now, and yeah, been in the industry for about that long too. So not as long as Layla, but yeah, hopefully I can bring some fresh and good, nice ideas to the table today.
Very cool. So let's kind of start big picture. I wanted to kind of get both of your opinions on some specific trends that you have noticed or observed in the evolution of digital signage within retail over the past couple years. And in your opinion, how do you think these trends have impacted like consumer engagement and purchasing behavior? Layla, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, gladly. I think you need to take the whole journey of digital signage and the transition away from digital signage that we're actually trying to make, because it was from poster to digital content into a digital experience, and now we're moving into the engagement and also the whole experience and the impact of the content that it has for the success. Because when you look at digital signage, you need to ask, what do you want to achieve, or what is the purpose? Not just, we're moving away from the hardware focus. We're going into a solution. What is it that we need to, a problem that you want solved, or is it something you want to achieve? And that is a journey that we've been taking a transition for the last couple of years. And it also, we need to be entertained. We want to be engaged. We don't just want to go in and shop. We have different type of shoppers, but we can go into that later. So the key is also knowing your audience. If you know your audience, you can target the content and you can nudge them, or you can actually manipulate them, sorry for the strong word, into a behavior that you want them to take based on what you want to achieve. And then we're implementing more and more data and analytics to understand it, because the truth is in data. And then you can nudge them into how you want them to behave. And that's just phenomenal. And then we have the whole AI coming up, which is also really exciting. And that's a whole chapter on its own, I think.
That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
Lauren, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're seeing a lot of consumers want that personalized experience and more interactivity and engagements when they're going into retail environments at the moment. It's changed so much. Like you go out shopping, not really to buy that specific thing anymore. You go out for a nice day out, and you want to have a memorable experience, and digital signage can really help to enhance that consumer experience.
Yeah,
we want to be entertained.
Definitely.
We've transitioned from just observing content to being entertained. Because I need to choose to go to the store now. That's where we're at. And that's why the online and the store platform needs to be the same messaging, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, entertain me, please.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Gary about earlier. I was like, there is this whole space where digital signage can really help us get back into the store, because if I can just very easily like order something off Amazon, it'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to just do that. Like if I'm going to go to the store, it needs to provide me something that I cannot get by just going on Amazon.
And that's exactly what Lauren said, the individual part of it. We need to get this to speak to me and not to the masses. And when we go through later in the panel, we can explain a little bit about how we can do that for you.
Yeah. So do y'all want to talk about some like good examples of successful digital signage implementation in retail that have like really effectively enhanced things like brand identity and influenced customer decision making? And what strategies do you guys recommend to get to these outcomes?
I mean, I think in terms of strong digital signage, I was having to think about this, and one that sprang to mind was Gymshark in the UK. So they were a completely online brand, and then last year they decided to open their first flagship store in London, and the way that they use digital signage, and they use their whole store to get people in. The strategy they used, it wasn't just, come in and buy more of our clothes. It was, come in and have an experience, sign up to a gym class, do this, do that. It was a completely immersive experience, and digital signage really played a hand in creating that experience. And they've been really successful of having that kind of omni-channel, bring in online, in store, and now obviously they've got another store coming. So I think it shows that you can really still have those retail stores and be successful now.
Absolutely right. It is very important, Lauren, but also you need to, from our point of view, you need to look at what is the customer journey. So some of the successes that I've had in the past is do the workshop, figure out what's the purpose, what do we want to achieve, look at analyzing the POS data, do some A and B testing in the store. We've also done some eye tracking, which has had really good success, where you wear glasses and then you come from outside and go through the store, and then you divide the whole store into zones. And where does your customer or your shopper, where do they look? Where is their eye going to? Where do you need to have the placement? And then you divide it into stores, so you know exactly where the real time of the eyes are following. And then you divide it into the stores, and you learn from the analytics how to optimize it, the content.
That's cool.
And yeah, and from understanding your audience, how they move through your stores, and understanding the zone, what do you need to play of content in the zone? Because there are different zones. In the entry, you want to have the brand awareness. That's where it works. You need to get the footfall. You need to get the traffic inside the store. And it often works that when you have the tracker, the sales data, and then you do exit interviews from the people that have been there, so you know what their emotions are in each of the zones, you can understand what has the best impact, and then you measure the ROI, because the ROI is important. And in some of these analysis we've done, you can achieve from 30% up to 70% increase in sales throughout the different zones. And then it's also important that you have the devices near to the product. And then you demonstrate that the pitfalls that often retailers fall into is by thinking they have the zone covered, but they don't actually understand what the customer needs in the different environments. So you need to ask them. That's why the exit interview is so important, so that you know emotions compared to the way they behave and move in it, in the store. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense, because one, if you're just looking at the analytics of what people are doing, that's one thing, but you really need the exit interview to understand why they're doing it, to give context. When it comes to digital signage in retail, how can that not only, one, help you keep your audience and your shoppers that you already have, but two, how can it potentially help you expand and reach maybe a new market or a new audience that you haven't quite, appealed to yet?
Do you want to start, Lauren?
Sorry, say that again.
When it comes to digital signage, one, I see it as we kind of talked about appealing to your audience, but two, maybe expanding to a new audience that you haven't done that with yet. How can that potentially help you expand into like a new market, new audience?
Yeah, I think it's about, again, your kind of messaging and the analytics, just being able to analyze kind of is it how the demographics, is it a female, is it a male, the age range, and then kind of seeing taking that back and then seeing what can be done, and who where can we maybe sell something different at this part of the store, or just I think that's really powerful to have that data.
Yeah, and it's analyzing what is it that you want to achieve. Who is the audience? You can be appealing to the audience, but you need to know them. You need to understand the loyalty programs. You need to understand, create this community there is to get all the information out about them. And then you can target them correctly. So even if it's a new market, it's a new target group you don't know, figure out what triggers them, figure out what moves. Then you understand what content will appeal to them and what content do they adapt. Because the key is when you have people in your store, you want them to stop. You want them to absorb the content. You want them to stay. Often you call it dwell time, but you want them to stay, but you also want them to absorb the content. So the content needs to be right for the right person in front of it, and also for what you want that content to do to the person, so you get what you achieve. So knowing the audience is better than appealing to a audience. I think that's the difference. Yeah.
And also, I feel like you have to know your current audience inside and out before you can start to try to expand it.
Yes.
So
you can try your luck. It depends on how have you done your risk assessment, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
How much to play around with. You want to gamble a little bit, that's fine.
Yes.
I'm a very facts and figures person, so I want to analyze it first and then I'll move. Yeah.
Before just like throwing something to the wall and seeing if it sticks. So we kind of talked about how AI is one thing, and that's like a whole other, thing that we're just going to leave there for a second. But kind of on the other side of that, we have AR and VR, which kind of sometimes walk hand in hand with AI. But how do we see that kind of influencing the future of digital signage in retail? It kind of already is, because all of the digital signage installations that have kind of stopped me in my tracks, those have all kind of been AR or VR in some form. What do you guys think? Are there opportunities as well as challenges here?
Is it okay if I start, Lauren? Can I
say
one?
Of course.
I thought about something about this. Sorry if I do that, but I want us to take out the context for a moment and see how impactful VR can be. We had a Danish astronaut who's been in outer space for the last 6 years. Oh, sorry, 6 months. Ooh,
okay, I was like 6 years.
The last 6 months, sorry. And being out there, you don't have any fresh air, and you're not able to do that much exercise. So he put VR glasses on and exercised on his bike.
Oh, cool.
And he needed to be in this sense and emotion of really biking. Otherwise, it would be out of context. So it can play with VR can play with your senses, your imagination. It's to take you places you physically can't be. Yeah. And it's immersed. And the key when you put it to retail is that it's immersive into your brand. So for the automotive, for example, it's perfect. You can build your own car. You can design it in real life. You can get the personal feeling of a brand lifestyle elevated to the level that the car manufacturer wants you to have. So you can feel the sense of exclusivity around it. It's adding customers the product that they don't have in store and get the high-end experience and then drive the sales that way, at least for VR. And for AR, it's the new Generation Z. It's exactly like you, Lauren. I want everything on my phone, right? So AR, you can take the product into your house. Does it fit or doesn't fit? I need to know that before I'm going to make my decision. Right. Mm-hmm. So these two correlate separately, but it's also part of the omnichannel for that part. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think like VR, as you said, with the cars, it can fit in anywhere. You've got obviously in clothing retailers, being able to, actually visualize what you're wearing and put an outfit together. The same with, if you're looking to buy a new sofa, does that fit? We're doing that with our customers at the moment as well. If we're building, a retail environment or a corporate environment, we say, do you want this here? Do you want this TV there? Do you want it bigger? Do you want it smaller? And we can actually use VR to fit it in your room and, actually visualize that. And it's so impactful. It's great.
But it also adds the emotions, because I remember when I did the Google Earth, and I used to live in London and I'm back in Copenhagen now. So going into that, looking at my street, looking at where I used to run, look at where I used to be, it just added an emotion that I didn't think I could, because it's so real, isn't it? So you can, and digital signage is also about senses, emotions, connecting with you personally. And that can really, it can just enhance that in a certain way, right?
Yeah. If something can make me feel something, I'll buy anything.
Exactly.
Like, I will buy anything. If it makes me cry, if it elicits like any emotion, like, great, sign me up. Like, take whatever data you need. I will be first in line.
Brilliant.
So, data-driven insights, Layla, you were kind of talking about how this is important. These play a crucial role in shaping like personalized customer experiences. But how can retailers leverage these data analytics and audience metrics to optimize their digital signage campaigns and potentially deliver even more targeted messaging to that audience that they now have this great understanding of?
Yeah. Shall I go first, Lauren?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Or Steph, just call us out so we're not
okay.
Because I feel like I want to be polite. You're actually right. We talked about knowing your audience, the right target, the right content. You also need to understand the different type of shoppers there are. There is a rich, poor shopper, and time poor shopper and a time rich shopper. So someone has a lot of time, someone who doesn't have a lot of time. And the one that has a lot of time wants to come into the store, be engaged, entertained, like we talked about before. And then there's the time rich, and time poor is you don't have a lot of time. That's me. I want to go in, I want to analyze. Someone needs to tell me this is what you bought last time, you're going to buy this again. And then I'm going to go there, buy, and I'm going to get out. I don't want to spend too much time, I just want to go in. So those two type of shoppers is what we need to look at. And the more they know about me, the better. And that's also where we can take it into the omni-channel approach, where you can link it to my phone, our social media, all the digital channels. That's valuable to understand the interactions that we're making with our touch points, using the interactivity, the lift and learn technology, because when you lift and learn something in a store and you get the information about it, you know, what is this person doing in the store? They're lifting and learning a certain product, so they're interested in that. How do I engage with the products inside the store as well? And then having it automated. How fast can the content be displayed in front of me while I'm at the device? And then creating the stopping effect so that I can absorb the content much better. Those are the data driven, and everything is in the data. Truth, numbers doesn't lie. Behavior doesn't lie. Yeah.
Lauren, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you can also use features like the QR codes now. You're seeing them everywhere, which is great. You can actually have QR codes on your digital signage, which will take you to a page where, if you don't have that much time, you can put your details in that page, and that will capture those analytics there too. So there's so many different creative ways we can do this now, which will help to increase the retailer's knowledge of our consumers, and get to know the consumer more, and in turn increase sales.
Yeah. Can we just take a moment for the QR code renaissance? Because when they first kind of tried to gain popularity, I want to say it was maybe 2009. I was like, that, and you had to download an app to even read it. I was like, no one's ever going to use that. That is so stupid. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then COVID happened. And then, the iPhone and the Android phones did an update so you could just do it directly from your camera. And now I will always scan the QR code at a restaurant before I touch the menu that a million other people have also touched. So I kind of had to eat my words on that one.
You also have it as your own business card now.
Yeah.
Just put and you scan your QR code. It's just evolving, isn't it? And that's the great with this industry, or at least with digital signage, digital experience. If you don't read the articles, if you're not a step ahead of everybody else, you will lose, because you will be a step behind everyone. It moves every day, and that's why this industry is so great. You need to be on top of your game every day.
Digital signage moves so much faster than any other facet of AV, because I would AV seems to be notoriously slow and kind of behind everyone, but digital signage is not. Digital signage is 10 years ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, it's all about tech.
Yeah, it really is. So we kind of talked about this already too, but interactivity is obviously becoming a really big feature on digital signage solutions. So what are some other innovative ways retailers can incorporate interactive elements into their digital signage to create, engaging and really memorable interactions with customers? Because we talked about, when customers have that stop and interact moment, like what are some creative, kind of different, maybe forward-thinking ways where we can continue to create those moments? Lauren, do you want to start us off this time?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's so much you can do with interactivity now. So, for example, like you can have a smart mirror. So if you're, in a cosmetics store, for example, you can, you don't really, you always see the lipsticks lined up, but you can never try them on because you're like, oh, you don't want to do that.
A million other people have done that. I'm not touching that.
Yeah, no. So you can, pick the shade you want and, just have that experience there, which is really, I think, a really fun way to do it. Like a few years ago, we did one with OPI nails where we were you put your hand in and then you can pick your nail color and you can see what nail color it looks like. So yeah, there's some really, really cool things you can do with interactivity now, and again, creates that memorable experience and just enhances kind of brand identity really for people.
Yeah, Layla, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same, but the thing that is moving is that you want online in store. You need to get to the real estate. You need to go into the capital cities. For example, IKEA is brilliant at doing this. They're buying the small square meters in the capital cities, and then they're having their whole portfolio inside by these touch points. So you don't have to, it's a new wave coming up. And it can just expand that you have the online presence inside, and you don't need the big warehouse, you don't need the big stores to have everything on stock, because you can go and have this interactivity. And being the owner of the store, you can use the intuitive touch interface with compelling content. The brands can deliver the immersive experience that you want. It can be interactive, it can be catalogs, virtual try-ons, it can be the guided navigations. It just fosters a deeper engagement and empower the customers to explore the offering in their own pace. They're not rushed through, they can play around, and it makes you stay a little bit longer. So it has a different impact. You can do your brand awareness, you can do your whole store in there, and so forth.
Yeah. I really liked makeup as a good example of this, because there's like kind of this whole area of, you don't ever want to like put makeup on yourself in the store, because what if you hate the color and then you have to like go through this whole thing of taking it back off, right? But what if you could walk up to a smart mirror and it could automatically like give you your foundation shade? If it's like, okay, you have soft colored skin, cool toned, all right, here's 5 shades in the store that are going to work for you. Like, I would never shop for foundation anywhere else. Like, that'd be amazing. So like things like that, where it just would save you time in the end.
And online shopping for makeup is a nightmare.
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 Correct. But we also want you in store. So you want
to
come in. Yeah.
So,
yes. So, somebody invent it. So we were saying, like, online shopping has obviously seen a rise, partially due to COVID, partially due to people already just like shifting that way to want to save time. But we're talking about like digital signage potentially helping to bridge that gap, help bring people in store. How can we do this? How can we drive foot traffic back to brick and mortar stores? How can we enhance the overall shopping journey?
I think it goes back to, they choose to come into your store. So you need to make the store compelling. But did you know that 75% of all customers say they use social media as part of the buying process? 75% has already investigated before they go into the store.
Yeah.
And this highlights how important it is for creating the content that is optimized for multi-channels. And it needs to speak exactly to your customers' needs and their preferences. So you need to make sure that your messaging online is also the same in the store, and you converging it, and it needs to be seamless and all that lot. But you need to create the engagement in the stores, because they have to choose the atmosphere, everything else they need to choose to come in. to the store. And that's why it's important.
Yeah. Lauren, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. And like you hear this term like influencer marketing, where, you know, everyone's, you know, buying something because, you know, someone's promoting it on Instagram or whatever. So yeah, you need to have that messaging aligned throughout, you know, socials and in your store. You know, having things like, you know, you could even have like social media walls in your retail stores, which, you know, also I guess it gives that I guess it gives more of like what's the word? It makes you feel more involved. It gives you that kind of gamification side of it too, kind of thing. So I think it's just aligning those platforms to the brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, but also there's another essential factor that we have to take in, and that's the community building, because you want to belong to something, exactly like you said. So by creating this community and providing opportunities for the customers to engage with each other, you gain such an insight to what they're looking for and what they want to buy. And also having stores where you open up for the public, they can do events. They can, if they don't have a meeting, where they come have the meeting room in the store, so that you make sure your store is open for communities that comes in, artists, anything, so that you always have interactivity in the store, engagement in the store, bring everybody in. And then these communities you have online, there's so many Facebook groups now. It's incredible. And they talk and they sell and they buy and they, all of that. Embrace it and then be part of it. Encourage it. And then that will give you the extra,
And Layla, you were kind of talking about the two different types of shoppers, right? So there are the shoppers that are like, I'm in and out, I'm going in for this one thing. And then there are the shoppers who are like, I am here, I have no list, I have just vibes, I will spend however long in here. Can digital signage ever help convert one type of shopper? So like those shoppers who are just in and out, convert them to the type that just want to mosey and just kind of look at everything? Is that something that can happen?
I think it's a personality, because I am the time poor. I am not a shopper. My sister is a shopper. She spends hours in a shop. We don't shop well together.
Me, I will not leave a store unless I have touched or looked at every single thing.
There you go. You could be my sister. And I sat down. I sat down in the store for hours just waiting and thinking, come on, chop, chop, we need to move on. And that's my personality. But that's because I have, all those personality types that we have. When you search for a job, you're a one personality, you're another personality. And me and my sister straight the opposite. So you and I are probably separate. But that's the thing. You are a person of character.
Right.
And understanding that, I can make it easier for you to shop. So I don't think you can convert.
Okay.
I don't think, because it's your personal character. And when you have a management team, you want to manage certain characters, you manage them due to the type of character personality they have. And don't ever change anyone. I don't think we like that. If you're in a relationship, you don't want to change your other half, do you? I don't think so. I just want to make sure that I know you and I can approach you in the right way, right?
That's fair. Lauren, what do you think?
I think if you go into a store and there is some, LED that's promoting sustainability or talking about that, and maybe you are time poor but you've got a real passion in that, you're like, oh, okay, maybe that sparked my interest, so I'm gonna have a look more into this, and potentially it could change like that. But I think if you are a core in and out, it will take a lot to change that.
But I would be very happy when you know me and you've got everything I need already lined up.
That's true.
And I don't have to look for it myself. And I think that's where the key is, that you understand it and that you embrace that and you service that in that way that person wants it.
Well, we got a couple of audience questions in, so I'm going to throw those to you guys. And by the way, audience members, if you're watching, keep those coming. The Q&A is right to our right if you are watching on launch. So keep those coming. I love asking audience questions. So this one is from David Keene. He said, for years, the holy grail was, how can we get the retailer to give the CMS for the digital signage system the permission to access point of sale data so that the CMS can generate content based based on real-time sales trends in store, but that never really happened, or did it?
It did. Absolutely did. We've done that, or with Zeta, we did that in most of the successful retail projects we had. Because it's also when you access the POS system, you get the data. You get the trends, you know what moves up and down, you know what's on stock, you know what to sell, you know what to promote, day parting, you know what to promote, when, what time, and then you sell what you need to. So it's definitely happening with the CMS. With the advanced CMS, they have it, or standard CMS should have it now. It's all about the integration and the API to your POS system. It's very simple. So yes, and it's effective, very effective, I have to say.
Lauren, do you have anything to add?
No, that was
we pretty much got our
very
answer.
clear.
David Nelson also asked a question, and we've spent a lot of time talking about digital signage and everything within the store, but he asked, could we expand a little bit on a store's exterior to even entice entry into the store? So maybe I didn't even plan on going into Adidas, but I saw a great pair of shoes on this huge LED screen outside. Now I'm like, you know what? Those actually would look really good on me. Like, let me get in there and try them on.
Yeah.
So your question is?
Just to, expand a little bit on how a store's exterior and digital signage out there can help
how you
entice entry
traffic from outside into the store.
Yeah.
We want to start, Lauren. Have you got some?
Yeah, I mean, I think the use of like high bright screens and things like that are amazing, and we've been doing a lot of those with retailers, and like digital totems as well. We've been doing interactive totems where, in shopping centres where, they say, click on the map and then click here. And then if you see Adidas, for example, then it can give some information on, a promotion they're having, and, it can attract people that way. So there's definitely, that's the exterior is definitely an effective way of getting people in.
Yeah. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, keep going, Steph. Yeah, it was a very good answer.
I'm going to keep going here. So let's kind of go back to AI for a moment. Let's kind of open that can of worms. So what role do you guys both foresee AI playing in the future of digital signage and retail, which is a huge question. So definitely take your time answering that. And how do you think AI-powered analytics and automation can enhance relevance and effectiveness of content delivery in real time? And this is for, either one of you, for whoever wants to go first.
Okay, so by using the sensors and the AI to analyze your customer behaviors and the preferences, the insight you can gain is very valuable, and you can tailor your offering to that need. Real time, ensuring the messages is always up to date and on point, because we also need to understand Gen Z, because they want to be entertained. They have the mobile phone all the time.
Yes.
So information needs to be fresh. It needs to be all the time, changing. So AI can help us with having it up to date all the time and being on point. And it can analyze the data so that we understand what the most content is likely for them, that will appeal to them. And it can help them keep coming back. So it can be used to recommend the products for the users based on history, and it can create personalized feeds to tailor their users' their interests and so forth. But you can do so much: data collection, personalized user experience, interactive interface, relevant content, deep learning, scheduling. The list is quite long. Right. But what I like is the engagement of it. Yeah. Have you seen the H&M backdrop in London? I'm not sure if you have, Lauren. You good? Yeah. So that's the artwork where it responds to a movement when the customers move from top to bottom of the stairs, and for the ground to the first floor. And when they move around, it's real time that it changes. The same was that Electrosonic? I think they actually won the Digital Signage Award last year. The Summit won Vanderbilt. Where you have your face is in the artwork of the clouds. So when you scan and you walk in, you can see yourself in the artwork. And that's where we can go with AI. But the second thing that I know H&M is doing now is the print on demand. Have you heard that? That's the recent one, Well, it's a generative AI powered custom clothing creation tool. Okay. And that it's an AI tool that it enables everyone to mock up and produce garment, utilize AI generated custom visuals, artwork on the text you put in. And then this creation uses the AI to transform the written prompts and mock up into you call it an apparel. So it actually comes with the artwork you have on the shirt. That's
very cool.
This is just where we're going, isn't it? It's interesting that you can be part of the buying your clothes that you've designed in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it can take you to, we need to think that AI is an accelerator of the output. We need to work smarter, not harder. So we need to embrace it. And we can go on with AI. It's incredible because we can start doing voice commands instead of the gestures we did. It's a whole new communication channel and a way to engage. If we add it into the digital signage for that point, if you go back behind that, it's the content, it's the text, it's the videos, it can be the pictures and everything else. It can be so much more.
Yeah, it can be. I think, we're just scratching the surface with it at the moment, to be honest, which is a really exciting place to be. But, you can do the kind of the fun things like, you coming into a store and then you're talking to a robot, basically. You can do that, but I think it's just I think the really, really amazing thing is about the real-time data and just analyzing all of this in real time, and being able to understand things like foot traffic and like customer demographics. It's just going to be so it's going to be so real time. It's just crazy.
And they're going to do it faster. I think the amount of data that it contains. But the only thing is we need the standards. We need to understand what can we trust, what's true, what's fake. So we have to get that in, because there is so much uncertainty with AI that we need to control. And that's I think that's a topic for another day. But that needs to be something we put into this equation as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, with any new frontier of technology or really anything, I think before we understand it, we don't know how to regulate it. And I think that is where we are with AI right now. And that's just kind of spanning into anything. But we have another audience question, and this is from Clarence. He asked, how can company branding be utilized in digital signage marketing? So I guess he's asking more than just putting a logo on a static page. What are more creative ways to do this, in either of your opinions?
Do you want to start, Lauren, or should I?
I mean, I think there's so many ways you can do this. I think it's about not only kind of putting your logo on, as you said, but creating a brand, just creating that brand messaging that in kind of, you'll go into a store and you just from looking at a color, oh, that's that one. It's that one. There's a lot of creative ways you can do it, I think. Layla, do you have anything?
Yeah, it's a very big question to answer. I would ask 10 questions return. What company are you? What do you want to achieve? Which audience am I hitting? What type of brand do you want to turn into? But it's understanding your target audience for sure, and then be bold. I think that biggest advice I can give is be bold and push the boundaries a little bit of what you normally would do in your comfort zone, and then go bigger. Not money wise or anything else, but go bigger on the creativity, on the brand awareness. Because brand equity is everything, but you can do it from online. What is it that you want to do? Is it trying to get them before they come into the store? TikTok, Instagram, is it before you want to hit them? Is it further down the street to get them in, or is it to get them inside your store? Where exactly do we want to take them from? And then there are different approaches to do that. But there's many, and be bold on which whenever you choose. But ask the question to someone where you can answer all the questions in return, because you need to do the marketing right. Don't spend too much money on where you try and hit everyone. singly shoot, I don't know, shoot is the wrong word, but singly produce the content to the right one so that it will be successful.
Makes sense. So to Clarence, I'm going to advise for him to connect with both of you on LinkedIn. And if you scroll down on the page where you see either of their headshots, if you click on them, it takes you to their LinkedIn pages so you can connect with them. And, you know, if you need some more advice, either Layla or Lauren, I'm sure they will be happy to answer your questions. So yeah, I've got a couple more questions here. I know we're kind of getting low on time, but I'm going to extend this for another 5 minutes here. So let's talk about security just briefly, because, you know, this is a whole other thing. We could spend a whole hour on security. But this is a pretty critical consideration when it comes to deploying a digital signage solution of any type, especially in retail environments where customer data that's going to be involved. What measures do you think retailers should take to safeguard against potential cybersecurity threats and protect that consumer privacy? And this is for either of you to jump in first.
It's very simple. Yeah. Do you want to start, Lauren?
Yeah, well, I can start. I mean, I think the first thing, you know, you've always got your best practices for kind of educating your staff on kind of cybersecurity, you know, threats, phishing, and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of digital signage specifically, when you are looking at the software that you're using, just make sure you're using a credible digital signage CMS platform. Make sure you're asking the right questions to your integrator or the manufacturer. Do they have the relevant certifications, multi-factor authentication, all that kind of stuff? Just make sure you're asking those questions at the start, because any CMS platform, any reputable CMS platform is thinking the same thing. You need to be secure, and they will make sure that these kind of vulnerabilities are all they've got the certifications and they are safe within their platform.
Let me take it a bit further. Have an enclosed ecosystem. Like the banks. The banks has these closed ecosystems. They have the type of security measures that you need to implement. So an experienced digital signage integrator, they know how to create this for you. You need to make sure that they're SOC 2 or SOC 2 certified. 100%. That just has to be in, because that protects you. At least they have taken all the measurements internally with a policy and certified and checked by an audit to make sure that's safe. In Europe, you can do ISO 27001. I think that's the IT part of it. Maybe if you want more, it's the 32. But have you heard about the Corporate Sustainable Reporting Directive, CSRD, that's coming? Has already come in January. It's modernizing and strengthening the rules concerning the social and environment information that companies have to report in Europe. So Europe are putting standards in now for this. And it's good. Every software company, but every company with respect for itself needs to be able to do these reports successfully and audited. So that's for sure. Lauren's absolutely correct. But look for the right integrators or installers that has the certifications.
Yeah. Those are really good points. So one of my last questions here, what emerging technologies or trends that we, haven't really touched on yet, do you think will have the most significant impact on the future of digital signage in the retail industry? And how do you think retailers should prepare to adapt and accept these kind of changes that are coming? Layla, do you want to start us off this time?
Yes. And I start by embracing our Generation Z. Because because Lauren, you're with us. I'm so happy that you're in here, honestly. The digital native group has grown up being surrounded by content. Their workflow is driven by the content creation tools they know from social media. So bringing this into your content management is a must to influence the group that is in your workforce. Because Generation Z wants to create their content the way they do the social media, by the portrait. And they want the feeds to come all the time, content fresh, new, relevant. Otherwise, you're not going to get my attention. So, and it's not just shoppers, it's also your workers, because they're going to be working for you. So appeal to them. It's about the people, it's not about the tech.
Yeah.
And then it will be AI. It's going to be great for content. It's going to keep brands competitive, the experiential feeling. It's going to be innovative retail stores. They're going to be unmanned. It's going to be a bit odd, but it's coming. And then all these innovative collectively is going to elevate the customer's engagement. It's going to be personalized. It's going to be brand experience. We're ushering into a new era of dynamic and interactive communication, and it's going to be done differently. But one point that we haven't touched upon is actually the sustainability. And it is green signage is coming, and we have to start demanding all the policy from the companies we work for, from the vendors they work with. You have to look at reusing things. You need to start setting the demands down the chain. Otherwise, we will not keep the sustainability upright. So I think that will be part of the new era, is also thinking sustainable throughout the whole supply chain and into the store.
Yeah. We can learn a lot from Europe here in the US in terms of sustainability, I will say. Lauren, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think retailers should really prepare and kind of invest in kind of an infrastructure that supports kind of the future of digital signage. There's so many technologies all the time that are emerging, and even like things like your 5G connectivity, it's just getting better and better, which will make an even more powerful platform for you in digital signage. The sustainability bit, we're going to be reducing waste by going digital signage, and it's all the top screen manufacturers are looking at power consumption and how they can get that down, I think that's just going to be, as Layla said, it's going to be massive in the next couple of years. It kind of already is.
And we want to take it even further. We need to start demanding it, requiring it.
We really do.
Tender everywhere we can, because we need to start. It might be on everybody's lips, but we need to get the action behind
behind the lip service.
By demanding it.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time, so I wanted to thank both of you so much for doing this with me. And to all of our audience members, if you scroll down, you can go to Lauren's headshot and Layla's headshot, and you can go straight to their LinkedIn and connect with them if you have any questions for them or just want to chat after this. So thank you guys both so much. It was such an honor to be on a panel with two of the coolest women in our industry. Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks. And next, I'm going to introduce another two amazing people in our industry, Emily Dean and David Drain. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to be doing, Emily.
Hi, Steph. I am going to be speaking with David Drain from QuestX, who puts on the Digital Signage Experience show. Since it's Digital Signage Day, we're going to get a sneak peek at the upcoming show, which is scheduled to take place in Las Vegas later this year in December. So I'm excited to speak to David and learn a little bit more about what they're planning for later this year.
Awesome. Well, I will let you guys go ahead.
Thanks so much. Hi, David. Welcome to Launch Week. Welcome to Digital Signage Day.
Hi, Emily. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So for those of our viewers who don't know you and may not be familiar with Digital Signage Experience and the show, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and a little bit about the show.
Sure. I work for QuestX, as you mentioned, which is a show producer, conference producer, and publisher. And we produce one of our events that we produce is DSE. Used to be called Digital Signage Expo, and we took over the event and first produced it in 2022 under the new brand Digital Signage Experience. And so I'm the director of event programs, and basically, I'm responsible for the conference program, the awards, all the special events that happen in and around the show, and just kind of overseeing the general direction of the show. And I'm actually in Las Vegas today. I'm here for another show that we produce called the Bar and Restaurant Expo, and DSE has a digital signage pavilion. So
very nice.
Something new and fun. Yeah.
Getting a little bit of sneak peek for those attendees, I'm sure. So tell me a little bit about kind of stepping into your background. How have you seen the industry evolve, particularly in terms of technology and user engagement? and how have those changes kind of influenced? I know that you guys are probably in some of the earlier stages of planning for this year's show, but kind of how have you seen those the industry evolve, and how are those changes influencing your planning for this year's show?
Yeah, sure. So a couple of things there. I think when we look at show planning, there's some things that are traditional, I guess, that you would expect from a show or a conference, but there's a lot of activations now and ways to make the show more interesting, or choose different methods for people to connect or engage with each other. And as far as the technology, I mean, I think, if you were to walk in any trade show, not just in this AV industry, but you're going to see a lot of digital signage, and it's because companies think it's an effective tool, or they, to communicate their message. And I know we're personally thankful that the Las Vegas Convention Center has digital screens mounted in the walls next to every meeting room, so that we can put the latest session information in there and keep that up to date. We're also using wayfinding touchscreens to help people navigate around the show floor. And then, of course, another major technology, I think, over the years that's evolved has been the use of mobile apps. When those first came out, I think it was just to kind of eventually replace the printed programs and give you the basic information that you would get on the website about what's going on at the event. And of course, that's still all valuable and helpful today. People need to navigate an event. They need to know what the schedule is, who the speakers are, what's going on, and where to go. But now it's evolved, and we're actually using an app that uses AI to help people match up with one another. So it takes profiles and backgrounds and what you're interested in and what your background is, and tries to match you with people who have similar interests and backgrounds.
Yeah, I mean, AI, I'm sure, is going to be a bigger and more influential technology just as we continue to advance that technology. AI and interactive technologies are kind of just revolutionizing our industry, as well as the digital signage industry. Are there any other ways that DSE will showcase these advancements other than the app that you can talk about?
Well, I mean, I think the show itself has, in the exhibitors, is where a lot of the technology, but we did some interesting, activations last year. We built this with one of our partners, this big cube. It was a transparent LED cube, and we showcased digital artists. And so that was an exciting development, I think, and attraction. And there was some neat different stuff on the show floor. I think you guys gave an award to one of the companies that had a dome and was doing projection mapping inside the dome for immersive experiences. So just giving people a little taste of that.
Yeah, I think that that'll be a growing trend as we move more into those kind of interactive experiences. Attendees will just expect those wow factors, those engaging, more interactive experiences on the show floor. That's kind of going to be the norm, rather than the wow factor of what's coming to expect and what attendees will be expecting. I know that the call for presenters is currently open for the show, and that education is a critical component, especially with your role at DSE. But can you elaborate on any of the educational sessions that you kind of have outlined or currently planned for this year's event, and how those sessions or education courses can cater to both first-time and repeat attendees?
Sure. So yeah, as you mentioned, our call for speakers is currently open through the end of the month. So I'd encourage anyone who's listening, if they'd like to submit a proposal, they can go to our website and click on apply to speak. And part of that call for speakers asks for people to rate the session that they're submitting, whether it's aimed at beginners or intermediate or advanced. So we're certainly mindful of trying to meet people where they are and offer something, for everyone. We have these major, session buckets around content and digital out of home, retail, strategy, and technology. And then we're going to continue to offer the Digital Signage Certified Experts course, which is a great program for people who are new to digital signage, as well as those who've been in the industry and they want to either brush up or be recognized for the knowledge that they have. And then we're going to continue to work with LDI, our sister show, to do joint keynote sessions. And so we'll be looking for inspirational speakers from aspirational organizations.
Great. Yeah, I think that the co-location of the two shows is a really great partnership that you guys have really introduced. It's a great crossover between the two sectors. Traditional digital signage experts can really see kind of the bleeding edge of the live events. Live event professionals can see how digital signage can just mold into their world and their live event world. Kind of speaking of that and considering all of the technology and innovation that will be on display during the show dates with the co-location of LDI, how can attendees, or what tips do you have for attendees to effectively navigate the two shows and make sure that they engage with the content and the exhibitors that they can find most relevant?
Yeah, I would certainly say that first of all, just to go to the show is not the full experience. So certainly encourage people to take in the conference, or at least take in the sessions that are being offered on the show floor, as many as you can, while also getting a chance to visit the exhibitors. This year, we're combining our exhibitor list of LDI and DSE, still having separation of the two shows, but by combining the exhibitor list and the mobile app, for example, that'll make it easier for folks who are, say, looking for LED screens. They're going to get those exhibitor results from both shows. And it's maybe seem like a silly thing, but we had duplicate numbering. So we had a booth 300 on the DSE side and a booth 300 on the LDI side, and we've just had one numbering system for the whole show, combined show floor. And so again, that mobile app is going to be crucial, I think, for people doing, they can do advanced planning and on-site searches to find the companies and that they want to meet with.
Well, perfect. David, thank you for your time. This has been a great sneak peek. For those of you, again, who may not be familiar with the show or want to learn more about the show, you can go to digitalsignageexperience.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, digitalsignageexperience.com. You can learn more if you're interested in submitting a session for consideration for presenting at the show. Go ahead and do that. David said the submissions are open till the end of this month. Again, that's digitalsignageexperience.com. David, do you have an idea of when about registration is going to be open for attendees?
Yeah, we're opening in mid-June.
So mid-June is open for registration. The show dates are December 7 through 10, 2024 in Las Vegas. It's the show that's solely dedicated to digital signage, technology, education, innovative solutions. David, thank you again for giving us this sneak peek to the show. And once again, digitalsignageexperience.com.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you. And now it's time to hand it off to Brian Mazzaros, who is going to be moderating. Brian, remind me of your panel. I think it's the digital signage market update, correct?
Trends.
Yeah. Sorry, trends. I will hand it over to Brian and have you introduce all of your panel members. Take it away, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm super excited for this panel. I've got two amazing women that are with me to talk about digital signage trends from their perception, what they see, what's happening in the industry, to how they see this kind of evolving. So very excited. Just a quickie for those who don't know me, I'm Brian Mazzaros. I run a digital experience agency called OpenEye Global, and also part of the Digital Signage Federation. So with that, I would love to introduce the two panelists that are with me. First I'm going to introduce, so we have Carol Feely-Barrio, who's over at Charcoal Blue. Carol, I'll let you introduce yourself, actually.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carol Feely-Barrio. I'm the Associate Director of Project Management at Charcoal Blue Experience. Charcoal Blue does consulting as well as project management services. So I lead up the project management team.
Awesome. And Nicole Richardson-Fafara over at EGAT. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
No
My name is Nicole Richardson, and I am Creative Services and Project Manager for a manufacturing and fabrication company.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you both for joining. Actually, what's really kind of nice about this is both of you have been around for a very long time. So I think it always makes it easier when you talk about trends with people that have seen it in so many different perspectives. And I love this too, because both of you bring such a very unique perspective from your backgrounds that I think trends, you talk about trends, I think that's a different take on it from both. So, there's so much going on in the industry, and, even our, conversation and figuring out about this is like, where do we start? Because there's so many topics to dive into. And, I think, what would be kind of interesting, I think, to start from is just, as a general, I mean, each of you come from these different backgrounds. So I'd love to start there from what you're seeing, just sort of top level, based upon the projects and the experiences that you're working on. What are some things that you're encountering sort of every day? And Carol, I'll kind of start with you from sort of the experiential environment side. Like, what do you kind of see from your, day to day?
Apologies, Brian. My internet just dropped out for a second.
No
You can just repeat the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure. No, I was saying I'd like to start, because you both have diverse backgrounds. So from your side of coming from the experiential environment side, what are some things that you're seeing on a day-to-day that you're being asked for by clients, or you're seeing as trends that you need to think through or observe as you're planning out projects?
Sure. I mean, one of the big trends we saw, particularly post-COVID, well, pre-COVID, everyone wanted touchscreens. They wanted to sort of interact with, with the exhibits or with the activations. And now what we're seeing is a lot more graphics, less interaction, and interaction is done using hardware as opposed to touchscreens. Again, post-COVID world, the thought then is having to clean those screens, having to maintain those screens can be difficult, especially when you're dealing with when you had a pandemic on your hands. So a lot of the installations that we had done, they were being closed off or roped off because they couldn't be cleaned frequently enough. So one thing we are seeing is we're seeing also a lot more content updates and things like that being as part of contracts, because clients are worried about their content becoming stale. That's been really important. You can put something up and install it and have content running, but if you have the same content running for 3 to 4 years, that's pretty dry. So the idea that people want to maintain it and keep it fresh.
And Nicole, probably from your side, because I know, part of your work is focused in casinos, but I know that you have been around and have seen many different verticals, but I'm just kind of curious from what are you seeing? Maybe not just focused on that, but just in general that you have to think through.
For me, it's been more along the lines of, for the casinos, they usually start off with nice LCDs. Now they've moved over to LEDs and more customized versions of how they present the signs. Instead of just having one screen on the top, they have a circular screen created with LEDs. And it's much brighter graphics, a lot more fun looking graphics versus the stale version that used to be like, come play blackjack. Now they actually have, more like gaming design, like video gaming design.
So I'd like to, I think the one that I kind of interested to sort of dive into a little bit is, it seems like every year when we have these conversations, other colleagues have this conversation, I feel like one trend that always comes up is LED. And I feel like it just continues every year. It's a trend, and it shifts from it's the cost has gone down to the flexibility you have from design and implementation, and now it is obviously trending towards sustainability. But I'm curious from how you perceive, and I think Nicole, you touched on it a little bit, with LED becoming a more prominent display technology. Do you see anything different or a different perspective, or do you find it easier to put that in front of your clients as an alternative or as a sort of a primary display technology as you're thinking through experiences? What are you seeing?
I think it's much easier because, like you said, the sustainability, and then taking it from the game itself, the housing in which it's into the environment in which it's in. So creating interactive rooms that use the LEDs like around the room as well as on the display. So you have the same balance of brightness. And when it comes to recycling or replacing, it's much easier to do that with LEDs versus LCDs.
I guess, Carol, over on your side, because the environments and projects you're working on, I kind of almost, correct me if I'm wrong, but I see LED as just being a must-have or a needed to, in there. I mean, how are you finding it as speccing it in and planning?
I mean, it's pretty standard for us at this point. Large scale, pardon me, large scale LED walls are, if you're doing an event space, there's probably an 80% chance at this point that your upstage wall is going to be an LED wall. And it makes perfect sense. If you're relying on a single projector and you have a projector failure, you've lost all of that real estate. You've lost all of that signage capability. If you lose a couple of pixels in an LED, there's a modularity to that. And that's really important. It's usually a quick, easy fix. Typically, it's just a magnetic face. And you can send those parts out for repair. So Nicole was absolutely spot on. Sustainability is important. One of the values, particularly at Charcoal Blue, is sustainability. And it's something that we're looking at turning, really making part of our designs to have this sustainable life cycle to them, where components can be recycled. If they can't be recycled, can they be cleared and donated? So there's some important things to look at, even in the design phase or the SD phase of, okay, we're building these, but what are we going to do with them later?
Yeah.
And LEDs are a great solution to have that modularity. If you decide you want to take down the wall and use it elsewhere, you can take half of that wall and use it elsewhere.
Yeah.
You're not locked into one aspect ratio. And if you have a custom curve, you can work on, you don't need to work on you can build that frame, and there's plenty of LED companies out there that do curved walls. So you're less locked into those ratios.
How do you see interactivity, kind of speaking with interaction and touchscreens and LED, as finding applications or solutions to where putting in LED and using interactivity at the same time? And I've seen panels now that are evolving to where they have sensors built into them, to where panels are being touched to, even potentially in some cases overlays, and then also just other sensors that could be used for interactivity as well. Do you see, as LED becomes more prominent, a challenge in achieving both the interactive aspect of it as much as well as a unique visual?
I do, because of the scale of LED. You can build LED very large, and the interaction of that is going to be based on how large that installation is. For years ago, I did an installation that was projection, but it's interactive in that we used IR cameras pointing down at the wall. So when you held your hand up to the wall, you could grow a plant. It's a beautiful exhibition at the New York Hall of Science, part of the Children's Museum, and it was incredible. But it's very simple IR technology. There's just IR cameras, and I think something like that could be replicated. But I think it has to be purposeful, depending on the scale of the wall, because you can lose. You can spend, if you have a 20-foot wall, how are you going to interact with that top, 10 feet, 12 feet of that wall? I mean, I'm pretty tall, but I still can't interact with a 12-foot, a 12-foot wall. So yeah, we want to make sure that real estate can be used appropriately, right? And you're not spending all this money in technology that will never be integrated or never need to be integrated. If it's a 2-story installation, that could be kind of cool if you have a mezzanine.
Sure.
And you're like, that would be really interesting to see how that could be done. But I think the sensors in LED walls, obviously, the more components you add, the more links to the chain that you put in. So you always want to be careful of that. But between overlays, absolutely, yeah, and of course the cost of those is going to be pretty insane. But even just regular IR cameras, you can do a lot.
Nicole, how do you find it? I mean, in the employment environment that you're working in, I mean, everything revolves around digital and touch and experience. So,
I was going to use the example of triggers in like high-end gaming rooms, like the jackpot. Like if somebody wins a jackpot, it's just kind of like everybody wants to come and see what's going on when you hear that sound of somebody winning the jackpot. Yep. But now with the triggers that are used within EADS, they can have that trigger go off and the whole room lights up. Okay, so it can get people to come over to that high-end gaming room from across the casino. Okay, so that type of interaction and visual effects can be profitable.
Yep. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's interesting. I think it's as these technologies become more readily available. We've seen it as well with sensors and just unique tactile experiences. Definitely I see that as an emerging trend, which I think both of you agree with this as well. So it's going to be interesting to see when the question gets asked next year. What does next year bring? With regarding with LED. The one part too, which we didn't even kind of touch on too, I know with LED is pitch as well. Obviously with direct view and you do have different pitches, tighter pitches that are coming out, and so obviously. There was always the challenge too of more factoring of distance and determining what pitch is most correct. But it seems like that is becoming even easier to sort out too. I know those panels are still expensive, but they are coming down. So sub 1 is not as expensive as it was, 2 years ago. So I'm kind of curious as you look at it, how much do you have to think about in terms of future proofing these experiences too from a content perspective, so that are you looking at the sub 1s, or are you still in that, above 1, and you're okay to live with that for a period of time? And I guess, Nicole, actually, I'll start with you, and then I'm kind of curious, Carol, on your thoughts on that.
That part I don't really deal with, but in long term, we usually, like when designing something, we design it so we buy large bulk of one type of screen so that we can use it with multiple different types of screen. And then within storage, you have easy for replacement and repair.
Yep.
So that's how I would answer that one.
Gotcha. Carol, what about from your side?
I think, when LED first started coming out, you mentioned that we've been working in this a long time, and it feels like forever when you look back at the technology of LED, right? Like the pixel pitch pricing used to be so disparate. There was such a difference between a wide pixel, your wide pitch and your narrow pitch, and that's not as broad of a span now that it used to be. I think it's still there, but it was pretty extreme at the time. And if you go to Times Square and you look at some of the LED signs that are up, there was that this is Starbucks LED sign that was done probably in 2012, give or take, and they're giant pixels, right? It's huge. There's so much space in between compared to one of the newer signs. So it's almost like an archaeological exhibition, right? Just sort of walking around Times Square and looking at the signs, and you can kind of tell when they were installed by the pitch that they're at, particularly for advertising and retail, because you're going to usually get a mid-range. You're not usually going to get a high-end LED wall, but now it's a lot easier. It's a lot simpler. And I feel like it's a lot more standardized maybe now than it used to be.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think in content creation and content development, again, has really kind of leaned into its own cadence. It's really sort of figured out, retailers have figured it out, clients have figured it out, corporate clients, what that needs to be, who needs to be doing it, and how often it should be done. Because it's not necessarily something, again, right, like we said, that we do once and it just stays. To keep it dynamic, you have to keep updating it. And then there's contracts in place, or there's people on teams who are dedicated to that when before it wasn't really that.
Well, I think that's actually kind of interesting, because I think that brings up another trend that I think, and I think I'm kind of curious in your take, is I feel that away from the technologies, I feel like there's a trend in increase in services being offered to support everything. For a while, digital signage projects were just known as really having a SaaS fee associated with it and an upfront cost on hardware. And so then you look at integrators to agencies, to designers, to everything in between. There's now a focus on service-oriented offerings to support aspects of it. And you touched on a little bit with content. Actually, both of you touched on with content, and I think even Nicole, you were talking a little bit from the maintenance part of it. Now, I'm kind of curious because it's a trend, but what's interesting about this trend is it's not a CapEx trend, it's an OpEx trend. And so, Nicole, I kind of curious to pick your brain about this one, but with everything that goes in there, and now that there is a need to support that, how is that conversation, or how do you see that as a trend to account for, knowing that there is all of these ongoing associated services that are necessary? I do want to say they are necessary, but how do you position, or how do you plan for or think through that piece of it?
Well, first of all, I'd like to re-clarify my statement about the pixel pitch, because we standardize for 4K. Okay, we didn't use anything less than, because we know that that's the foundation in which we can stand upon. Okay, so that's why it's easier to purchase that way. Okay, in regards to services and following up, I think that prior to COVID, everybody was pushing out all different types of technology, trying to fill the need. Right now, I think the future would be following up with all of those clients to ensure that they understand how to use it and what are next steps, because I see a lot of digital signage and equipment just running the same content, not really knowing what they should be doing with it. So following up from that perspective to make sure those clients know what the next steps are for their systems. So kind of having a business analyst or customer service representative going back to follow up on those clients, or the clients that we've had, within the last 2 or 3 years before the life cycle of those products to let them know what's next, how to refresh everything, whether it be technology, content, or overall usage for their environment. And I think those environments can change, because you come in initially regarding the touch screens and COVID, but then move forward to office communications, internal communications, as well as making environmental updates to add additional signage based off of the need.
Yep. Carol, from your side, I mean, sort of back to the part of this ongoing, or thinking through that, I mean, how is that for you in positioning that as part of a project? Because I imagine that's a key part of what you do, past putting something in place and designing it. It's what, how does that, or how do you frame that with the client?
I think the important part is that over the last 10 years or so, we've really, having used the technology, having integrated the technology, having troubleshot the technology and maintained it, I think we've all learned that it's a specialized system.
Yep.
And the more specialized the system, it's kind of like if your HVAC goes out, you have HVAC company come back and do a service visit, right? They become part of a building system. Whether it's advertising signage or interactive signage or a museum or a display, there is a really important step of service. And you have to think about that, because these do go out. Sometimes they overheat. we don't put LED walls behind glass walls anymore, because it's too hot, right? And you have to be really careful about airflow. And these are things that we've all learned because inevitably, we all have experience. We've looked at something and said,
Yep.
That's probably not going to work. Maybe we should fix that. But having those years behind us enables to put us in a place where we can keep the relationship with the clients going. And I think, Nicole, you had said that too, right? Like constantly checking in with your clients. You know what the service level needs to be. You can set up service agreements with integrators, whatever. And as an owner's rep, that's something that we do a lot with our clients, is that we have, okay, we're going to build this, but we need to look ahead at what it's going to look like in terms of operations. Every 6 months, there's going to be a service visit. There needs to be cleaning of the equipment once a year, et cetera, whatever the service agreement is going to be. And that can include content refreshes. And then usually in 3 to 5 years, maybe you have an equipment update. And how do we deal with spare equipment? How do we deal with service calls? Say your whole, and doing museum installations is like this, right? You get a call at 7 o'clock in the morning, the system won't turn on. How do you get someone out there to do that? So that's really important to keep in mind what you're installing, that it's serviceable, because that's part of having your name on something that's been built and designed is its accessibility.
I think that the interesting part to this too, and maybe even taking a step back, is I feel that this trend of associated services, in some part, is being accelerated just because of some of the complexities of the applications that we're all speccing in for the client. I think, and again, this is where I feel like we miss some trends just because the amount of time that we have. But you look on embedded devices now and displays, and you look at different media player configurations, plus different LED, plus displays, and then we put that all together. I think to both of your points, it creates this kind of situation where you do need help. It will go down. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. It will happen. It will happen. As much as you don't want that to you, it unfortunately will. But I think that's where this trend I see on services is just sort of accelerated because of that complexity, because of all those different solutions that exist, that just naturally there does need to be another set of hands alongside of the client to support them. So I feel that's interesting.
Also with LED technology, a lot of it is integrated with building systems. Yep. There's power cycling, there's power saver functions, there's scheduling. So a lot of it is also intertwined with building systems that didn't really happen until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. When we started adding signage into LEED, and LEED structures, how did we do that? And one of the things that you can do is you can shut the signage off at night.
Well, but I think where you're going though. That's another trend too that we really haven't even touched on. So I feel that you had digital signage that was maybe relegated to retail or to banking in the beginning, to smaller verticals, and then all of a sudden now you are into casino environments, you're into themed spaces, corporate environments that do tie into all these other systems that make it even more complicated because of that integration. So I think for maybe a trend that we're just talking about here in general, it's just the fact that digital signage has now continued to expand into so many different environments that we need to be conscious of that. Sorry, Nicole.
Oh, I was just going to say the information about it being integrated into LEED and them taking the time to understand digital signage and how it can change an entire environment. Yep. To me, that's one of the better trends, seeing how it's working with architecture. So I like that one a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. One other trend I'd be remiss not to mention it or not to talk about it. I think AI is something that just continues to come up, and I guess almost it follows the suit of what we were talking about before, to where different environments have different needs for AI engines or that aspect of it. So people see it from different perceptions as far as what it's needed or how it comes into play. So I'm curious, just from both perspectives, have you encountered aspects of it? Has it been brought up by a client, and have you done anything with implementing it on any aspect of it, from programming to planning. I know a lot of architectural firms are just using it on planning documents. A lot of us use it to cheat on proposals with ChatGPT. No, just kidding. But I'm curious, Carol, with you, what has your experience or exposure been to to machine learning, to AI?
Sure. And being on the project management side, we're seeing that more with sort of internal functions, right? Scheduling, dashboarding, reporting, data visualization. We're seeing a lot of AI included in that, which is great because honestly, those are they're tasks that are sort of a drudge, right? Nobody wants to do that. AI assisted scheduling is delightful. Is it always right? Never. The more we use it, the better it's going to get, right? But will it ever take the place of someone reading a schedule and going through the predecessors? Absolutely not, right? But like you said, cheating on a proposal. I start documents all the time in ChatGPT. I do a lot of educational sessions within our team, and I start a lot of them with like, okay, tell me all about this, and it puts together a series of notes, and it's up to me as the human to focus through those notes and go through and decide what stays or what leaves. But I think overall, in terms of design, I'm not seeing it. It can't take the place of the conversation, right? And the conversation is the important part for us. It can take the place of the housekeeping. And I think that's really helpful because it allows you to really focus on that conversation. And I know, that we've had some clients that have used some AI functions for content and things, but that's all been on the client side on my end. So I haven't had too much exposure to it. But outside of the, when are we going to put it in? And when is it going in? When is that too late?
Mm-hmm. Nicole, how about you? What has your experience been?
I've worked with a couple of clients that have used it for content. Okay, I've used it for a presentation, and as I was saying during the presentation, it's very difficult to be inclusive in a lot of the presentations that we do, especially like PowerPoint or for conferences and things, to be inclusive. So with AI, it's very easy to do that. Okay, versus going out, having a photo shoot and doing things like that to pull together the information to show, hey, women can do this job, men can do this or that, and to show all the different cultures. But I have to definitely say I've used it for presentations, proposals, and reports, and I love it.
No, it's I answer the put the question out there because I think a lot of people obviously want to hear it as a trend, and I get it because it is. But I think the reality is not everyone's going to have the same answer on what their exposure has been to it. Even us from an agency standpoint, we've seen it more on the creative. Obviously still not at the point just yet of doing a lot of generated animations. So there still is aspects of that are not quite there yet, but there are a lot of CMSs that do have aspects of it that are built in, from programming to automation of content and delivery, which is certainly interesting and worth taking a look at, because there are ones out there that are evolved, that are worth implementing. So I think that's another one of those interesting trends that then kind of continues to grow. But I think what's kind of nice is that you put that into the mix, and then you go back to our previous conversation about services. You can't help but to see, again, services, I think, is just an ongoing trend. There's going to be another added element of monitoring and implementing of an AI engine as a trend, as a service, that might not just be content focused only, but a part of everything that you're overseeing for a project. So that's why I feel like that is just, I know people are scratching their heads and say, why are you saying services as a trend? And I think reality is not everyone sees services as an opportunity or a need for projects. And I think that's a debatable argument, to where it is a need to, and there is a growing need to define what those services are, and to couple them with the project. No project should go out the door without some type of ongoing service attached to it.
Exactly.
And I think we're just kind of like, I think we're kind of coming up with this or consciously understanding this as we talk this through. But I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, I feel like there's more to discover around services that we're not even touching on right now.
I feel like a lot of times you just want to get the project done. Once it's done, then it's, the salesperson sells it, you get the project done, it's installed, everything's all good. Then the turnaround time of how long you wait before the salesperson or the business relationships manager goes in to confirm that everything is all good from every aspect, and then to take it to the next level on what they're going to do for the customer and what their needs are, and really digging in deep with that, to figure out if there's a new scope that you need to follow, or something that you need to fix or resolve, or how to cut back on the cost for the next phase of a project, instead of just going, oh, it's sold, it's done. Hey, do you guys need content? Hey, just the quick sales call. I think it needs to be a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
I would 1,000% agree with that. I think, traditionally the sort of Project Management Institute definition of a project is something that has a start and an end.
Correct.
And traditionally we've looked at that as to the design of a project to the execution of a project. But I think what we're missing in that conversation is that project life cycle, right? We're looking at equipment that does age. We're looking at equipment that also doesn't age well, right? There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of new things coming out. And you do have to look at this every 3 to 5 years. So if we implement the life cycle analysis on it, that 3 to 5 years, what's happening with that equipment? How much heat is it putting out? How much air conditioning are we going to have to use to counteract that heat? And Nicole, that's huge for you being in Las Vegas, right? Like, if I'm installing something in Ireland, it's totally different than I'm installing something in Las Vegas. So we have to look at the regionality of it, looking at the equipment that we can use. Again, what can be recycled, what can be repaired, what can be donated, and putting that plan together as part of the design, and not waiting until all the stuff is sitting in someone's garage. What do I do with all these things, right? Like, so I think it's really important that the life cycle becomes part of the design, which is a bit of a hard sell because people don't want to think about how they're going to deinstall something they've just installed. But I think as good human practice for the amount of things. I mean, there's a lot of waste in construction. There's a lot of waste in AV, and we can really look at it and really tighten up what needs to happen as we go through and as we start deinstalling these equipment. There's nothing sadder than an LED wall that has a warning screen on it, or an LED wall that has a blue screen, right? Like,
it hurts my feelings to see stuff like that.
I can cry, even if it's not mine. It's like, oh, I know that feeling.
I'd also like to add, like, since I transitioned to working in manufacturing for this portion of my contract, I've learned so much, since the end user side. So seeing how you can refurbish or recreate something, that is also something that a lot of companies need to take a look at, on how to refurbish an old design to make it still useful.
Yeah. I agree with that. So I know we're kind of coming, towards the end, and so the last one I do kind of ask trend-wise is, from your own kind of take, and again, you two work in somewhat different verticals and environments. What do you see as the next trend in terms of just an overall experience, happening? And Carol, I'll kick it off with you. Like, what is the next interesting museum, theatrical, environment, immersive, I'm running to Disney to see experience that you think is coming?
I think it's immersive. I think you just hit on it. I think there's a verticality, there's a horizontalness, right? There's a scale that things are being designed in. I mean, look at the MSG Dome, right? The scale of that is tremendous. And what that's done for all of what, I mean, it's finally like the first time in my life where my family understands what I do for a living, sort of. Like, because we used to, we used to just put up displays, and we used to conference rooms and theaters, and you know what I mean? And it was very sort of specialized, but now we're really getting into these specific custom immersive designs. I think it's great. And I think even traveling designs, you see those immersive Van Goghs and the immersive Clint exhibitions that are happening. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think people want bigger. They don't just want a screen. They want the screen to curve over their head. Right? And I think we're going to see more of that as we get going. And I think just like everything else, it's the walls have gotten bigger, displays have gotten bigger, the prices have kind of settled down, and I think now we're going to start to see that customization really come in.
So is this another U2 concert experience coming at us really soon? I hope not.
I hope not. Not my favorite band. No offense to anyone who does love U2, but but I do appreciate the architecture and the event technology that went into that construction project. It's absolutely tremendous. And I mean, how do you take your eyes off of it? I mean,
no, it's true. Very true. Very true.
I mean, Nicole, like you're looking at it every day, across the country at least.
And Nicole, I feel that you're in an environment where no client is ever satisfied or happy, even as a project goes underway, because I feel like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they're midway through it and they're like, I should have done that. Can I do that? Let's do that. Stop.
Right.
I mean, where do you see it going? Because I can only imagine. I don't know how you have all your hair, because I feel like you some days you're probably like, I just got to pull it out because I'm being driven nuts here.
Right. So I was talking to Carol about that, and it's along like I'm taking project management courses, so you understand that there is a beginning and there's an end to a project. Okay. But on the more agile type things, when you have a customer that's like, well, what about this? Well, what about that? You have to have a stopping point that you can go back to your backlog and go through some things and figure out how you're going to integrate it, phase it in after the fact.
No.
Okay. But yeah, that is the stressful part, but that's where I think good communication and emotional intelligence comes into play, because you have to work with the client to make them happy, but know that you have an end game that's going to make them love you.
I like that. I actually well articulated. Well, I think that perfect.
Change management is a delicate process on all ends. I would totally agree with that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you both. I mean, there's so many ways of now seeing experiences defined by architecture, defined by technologies, but I think it's anything that really kind of boils down to getting you more involved in the experience unknowingly. That's the part that I love. Is before you always had to be sort of invited to do something, but if you're doing something unknowingly and things are reacting to you, I think that's more of what you're going to start to see. And you see that now too. I mean, to geek out a little bit, I mean, some of the theme park experiences been opening up over in like Tokyo, I think are a good example of that. Those museums and theme parks that have been popping up over there, I think are a demonstration of what that could be. And you could see that into some of other environments that are starting to open. So
I think
there's a lot.
I think it's going to be a combination of like the theme park concept and what we're doing with entertainment and sporting events. I don't know if you guys taken a look at the concept they have for the baseball stadium.
Yes.
For Las Vegas. If they get it, that's going to be pretty interesting. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be, they're going to use more biomatrix and, more interactivity and more to get everybody involved, because you pay so much to go to these events. I just think about, I can't remember, and I'm not a sports person, so I'm sorry, but the court for the Indianapolis basketball team. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? They made it
at the All-Star break.
Yeah, that was like so amazing. So I've always liked the graphics associated with sports, and I thought that was just taking it to a whole nother level. And I know that that concept's been around for a while. So I think it's not new, but it's a different way to present the technology in a sector that you wouldn't have normally thought it would be.
I think you see it too if you've been into like Brian, if you've gone into Moynihan Station, right behind Penn Station, it's not immersive, it's not interactive.
An interface.
But it's designed, and it's designed to surround you, right? It's lighting, and it's signage, and it's kinetic, it's moving. So as you're walking through, you're like, wow, everything is white, right? So everything has this projection surface built into it. So even though it's not necessarily covered in LEDs or covered in displays, there is this kinetic movement to it. And I think we're seeing that a lot more. Things are energizing.
Well, thank you both for taking the time to chat. I really enjoyed it, and I hope everyone did as well.
Yeah.
Before I let you both go, I know, obviously on the website, both of your LinkedIn profiles are there, but just if anyone wanted to reach out, or just where can they find you, Twitter handles, or X handles, sorry, I get that wrong all the time, but Carol, sorry, where they can find you?
If you could reach out to me on LinkedIn, that is the best place. I do not have an X handle. I'm not that fancy, but or carol.feely@gmail. Feel free to send me an email.
Awesome.
I'm more than happy to chat.
Perfect.
Yeah, LinkedIn for me as well. I'm not that cool to have all these extras. Okay, I'm just like, I got a lot going on, so.
I agree. Well, thank you so much. I actually really enjoyed it. So always a pleasure to chat with you both. So.
Brian, this was great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, it was good.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. All right. So to everyone who is there and still with us, thank you so much for coming to Digital Signage Day today. Thank you to all of our panelists, our guest moderator, Brian Mazzaros, and to, everyone who has helped make today a thing. I did want to apologize again for our technical difficulties that we were having for the first 30 minutes of today. I know that was really frustrating to you as viewers to watch. It was also really frustrating for us to have to figure this out. But like we said, in AV, you always have to have a backup plan and a backup plan. And, we made it work. So thank you guys for being the best audience ever and for still hanging in there. And if you've had issues with the polls today, again, don't worry. We are using our another backup system to make sure, to keep track of you and make sure that you are there. So that will not affect your eligibility for your CTSRUs. You will get an email about your CTSRUs. If you stayed on the whole day, you get 2.5 for today. This is 10 for the whole week, so 2.5 per day. You will get your RUs at 10 days after the end of the event. And the email that will come from is cts@theraveagency.com. And that will go to the email that you use to register for the event with. So don't worry if the polls, you were having a hard time with them today. Don't worry. We can see you. We know you were there. It is okay. Wanted to quickly just thank Spinetics for being an amazing sponsor. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to see the Millennium and go through all of that really cool tour. Like I said, I'm super jealous of Gary that he just got to go do that in Switzerland. Amazing. And thank you so much to the partners that helped us put on the whole week's event. Avixa, DSC, the Digital Signage Federation, EDGE, HETMA, the Illinois Digital Educators Alliance, NSCA, and Wave It. Thank you to all of you from all of those organizations. You have helped make this week amazing. Thank you, the audience, again. We definitely couldn't do any of this without you guys. So thank you for being a part of this. Again, give yourselves a pat on the back for, really sticking it through today. So see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, 12:30 here on the Launch platform for Pro AV Day. It is going to be another amazing day of some cool panels, cool products, everything that you guys love to see. So thank you again. And I will see you guys tomorrow.